Uh, it absolutely was worth it. It was the correct decision to take. And I think what history will end up showing is that the removal of Saddam Hussein was good for Iraq, it was good for the Middle East, and it was good for the advance of freedom and democracy. And while any war is difficult, it's an unnatural state for a democracy to be in a war. The long-term benefits of this are going to accrue greatly. The biggest thing in Afghanistan that we learned from Iraq that we can apply is that you have to provide a sense of security and safety for the people of Afghanistan so that they can take their own decisions about how to form their government, what direction they want their government to be in. Because if the people of Afghanistan don't feel safe in their own homes, they don't feel secure in the streets, then it's very difficult for them to focus on a political process. So as we move forward, and I think that as the Allies continue to remain committed in Afghanistan, creating that buffer, if you will, so that civil society takes hold, that politics can work, is the way forward. There was a number of things, and it started back during Bill Clinton's administration in terms of the United States, where there was an encouragement made for risky lending in the housing industry. And there are two large U.S. federal government agencies, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, that were designated to buy up mortgages and help give mortgages to people. And the two institutions were out of control. And at the beginning of President Bush's term, he attempted to reform those institutions because you could see the instability in the market coming. And unfortunately, the Congress chose not to act. What ended up happening then was that you had all of these financial instruments and all of this paper floating around that nobody knew what the real value was. But as real estate prices continued to skyrocket, they didn't seem to have a real sense of grounding to what an actual value was. And eventually the house of cards came down. As time goes on, as people put things in perspective and as plans continue to play themselves out, I think people will look back and say that the president was somebody who had a core set of principles, he clearly articulated them, and he stood firm on them. And you can see that in both domestic priorities and in international. I don't think it's necessarily a good idea to engage in, is labor up or is liberals up, conservatives up, left up. It's more what are the ideas that are working. And I think that as long as political parties are advocating open economies, open trade, advancement of democracy, and applying the benefits of a robust economy to those less fortunate within their countries, that's the government that works and that's the government that people expect. Over the years, the thing that has struck me in my visits to Australia and dealing with Australian leaders in media and academics and government business is how hard Australia works on advancing and protecting the alliance. And I look at the U.S. Study Center as yet another manifestation of how the Australians always put the extra effort in to making sure they understand the United States and that they work to keep the alliance strong. So I think we'll always end up being good mates.